score a touchdown, but it's taught them skills can be used for a lifetime. Other lifelong skills can be acquired are teamwork, leadership, and also coping skills, all which are crucial in most everyday tasks. Other important skills that can be acquired are teamwork, leadership, and coping skills, like I said. The other outside factors that can help one's mental health is their teammates. Having those people in your corner can help someone in a positive way. It'll allow you to talk to them and lean on when things get hard. But what are some of the negatives that come with playing a sport? From my poll, the 3 biggest causes were coaches, personal performance, and parents. Personal performance for me has for sure made a huge impact on whether I'll be in a good mood after the game or not. If I, per se, have a really bad game, which it happens a lot, I will probably be in a pretty bad mood after the game. Sometimes that bad mood carries into the next day, and then it carries into practice, and then it carries into when I get home. Overall, the effect of just one bad game has not only affected myself, but it's affected all of those around me. One person from my poll quotes this: "When I underperform, I start to look down at myself. But when I perform well, my self-confidence starts to come back." The weight that athletes have on their shoulders to perform well is so heavy. The idea of having to be perfect 100% of the time and never make a mistake. To finish up, let's talk about what seems to play the biggest role, both negatively and positively, and this is coaches. From my poll, these 2 questions were asked. While playing a sport, what positively affects your mental health? And while playing a sport, what negatively affects your mental health? The 2 most common answers between the 2 was coaches. The same people were asked to explain how their coaches affected them. This is what one person says: They have negatively impacted me by seeing me as just a player and not as a person. Another says this: I feel like I can't do anything right, and they aren't paying attention when I'm doing anything good. It's only the bad. This leads me to worrying about messing up, which makes me mess up. Having a coach constantly focusing on the bad can be so mentally draining if they're only focusing on the bad and they don't care about the good that's going on. But others have mixed emotions about a coach. One from my poll quotes this: "It has taught me things, but has also led to a lot of self-doubt and mental struggles for me." But for others, having a coach in their corner has impacted them positively. A coach has impacted me positively by encouraging me to keep working hard and overcome adversity, not just in my sport, but in life itself. Coaching is about more than just the X's and the O's and what plays to run, but it's about how they're affecting all those around them and the relationships being built with their players. All in all, mental health in high school sports has always seemed like such a taboo topic, even though it shouldn't be. Playing a sport at no matter what level can be so physically and mentally demanding. I once heard